Welcome to Inside the Thunder. I'm KD Hudnall, and on this show, I go one-on-one with some of the most recognizable names in Marshall athletics history. He played in 47 career games for Marshall from 2009 to 2012 and led the team in rushing in 2010. He was the 2009 Little Caesars Bowl MVP. Today, we're going inside the Thunder with Jonesboro, Georgia's own number 29 running back, Martin Ward. It's been a long time since I've sat behind the mic for an Inside the Thunder, but here we are, and no one better to kick the series back off again. Here is we're in the midst of football season, other than former Herd running back Martin Ward, Jonesboro, Georgia's own Martin Ward, joining me today on Inside the Thunder. Martin, appreciate you taking a little bit of time. We're going to talk, chop it up, and have a good time. Thank you for joining me today and peeling back the curtain a little bit.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Glad to be here.
You're welcome. Glad to have you. I think Herd fans are glad to have you because, you know, it's been a while, like I said, since I've done one of these. And I know that our fans, by and large, the thing they like the most is to feel closer to the program and feel closer to the people that contributed to this program like you did. So these have been a well-received series. I'm really glad to get them started again. And always the best place to start when you talk about something like this is at the beginning. Okay. So how does Martin Ward get from Jonesboro, Georgia to Huntington, West Virginia? Tell me your recruiting story. How did you land to play for the Green and White?
Oh, man. Let me date myself back. Coming out of Jonesboro, Georgia, I was highly recruited. I was number 2 in the state of Georgia at running back. At the time, I was number 24 in the nation. And I was committed to University of Georgia. Being that I was committed so early in my junior year, I wanted to see what else was out there. You know, I had to be a student athlete instead of an athlete that, that was a student. Okay. And I had to take care of some things first. And when I decommitted, I found out that, not passing your ACT and SAT, not having that in order, some teams drop off of you. Having the SEC around and me venture back out, once I passed the ACT, Marshall was the first team, like literally the next day. Coach Goebel flew down to practice and he said, "Hey, man, we're still here. We're still on board. And if we would love to have you." They never wavered the whole process. And one thing that showed me is I could trust in them. What sealed the deal was coming up to Huntington, West Virginia for a visit. My first flight, first time flying anywhere. I was real nervous, but I had a great time being here. It was like a home away from home. And it was weird to say that because being that I never been here, at the time, it was the most fun I've had, being at any visit. My recruiter at the time was Tavares Thompson. And me and him had ties through my running back high school coach who came from Florida, who was his high school coach. So that was, I felt like that was a divine thing. Like, he knows my coach is sending me off. I know somebody there. I was like, everything is just working in his favor, man. And the guys on the team, they embraced you, hanging out with them. Darius Marshall was the running back at the time, who was a top running back from Georgia as well. And being around a guy like him and seeing the camaraderie at the time, I just knew I was sold on it, So that's how I ended up here in Huntington, West Virginia.
So did you come up for your visit? Was it on a game weekend? Like you attended a game, or was it just like off-season type thing?
It was off-season. Matter of fact, it was right before the Super Bowl where I want to say Moss was with the Patriots. And
Oh, that was
Ahmad Bradshaw
the helmet
with the
catch, the
Giants.
David Tyree Super Bowl with the helmet catch.
I believe so.
That was
I
the
believe
Pats'
so.
undefeated season that ended in a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah, Ahmad won that year, correct?
Yep.
Yep. I think he had just left. He ended up in the Super Bowl, and they were talking about how many guys from each team were from the most guys from whatever university was on the team, and I think Marshall was first or second on that list at that time. So yeah, I was up there at that time.
So let's talk about there's always a singular moment, all right? And I get that you're there and you're around the guys and it feels like the camaraderie is almost instantaneous. And Huntingtonians, Marshall fans are going to love hearing that it felt like home, even though I'd never been there before.
Oh yeah,
because that's really the MO behind what we do as Herd fans and the city of Huntington. They want you to feel like you've been there forever.
That they do.
When it's your first time walking through the city gates, I guess. But there's always a singular moment when you're on that visit, you see something, you feel something clicks, and you go, all right, this is it. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Do you remember what that singular moment was that cemented the decision in your head? It's like, yep, I'm a part of the Herd. That's it.
Yeah. Well, it was multiple. I like to tie things together. One was Tavares, seeing him and just knowing that my coach had somebody up here that could possibly like be a big brother to me. Meeting Chubb Small, how he embraced me, him and Darius being that running back duo that I've witnessed, prior to coming up here. But there's a guy, Josh Johnson. I don't know if you remember him, a linebacker. I actually took a trip to Georgia Military, and I didn't know he came up to Marshall. And watching him and the guys around him, surround him, like Corey Hart and everybody else, man, I was like, wow. I said, okay. I see who the top dog is. I see, you know what I'm saying? He's a big guy. He was a big guy, but watching him and watching everybody else crowd around him and stuff like that, and how he moved and they moved with him, I was like, man, I want to be a part. But it was not until it was Jordan Taylor, Devin Arrington, I believe John Bodie was on that trip as well. We all looked at each other on our way to our hotel, and we was in the elevator, and we was like, man, you coming? We looked at each other. Yeah, I'm coming. Because we had a good time, man. We had a good time. And, bro, just being a part of it and for us to feel as though we already made that bond on this trip. And even though we weren't a part of the team, we was a part. Nobody was left alone. Nobody was in the corner sitting by themselves, just like, all right, bro, I'm just doing this for the check, or you just here, you know what I'm saying, trying to take my spot, so I don't really want you to come. Like, they really took us in and brought us around. They didn't chauffeur us around, but they showed us, It was like, listen, bro, you come here, this is what we do. This is how we move. This is how, they took us step by step. And that's what you appreciate, as far as that's what you want when you have someone coming in and you want to show them around. So it was a beautiful experience.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys all recruited one another. Like, you in, I'm in. I think we should all be in. Let's do something special up here in Huntington.
Oh, it is.
So all right, you're on campus now. Okay. You're going through, you're just here. You're going through the off season. You're going through summer ball, whatever, and you're playing, right? You had a career that spanned two different eras, two different coaching eras, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But what are some of your favorite moments when you think about your playing time? Now, like, what do you personally most proud of when you look back on your time carrying the football for the Herd, both individually and team standpoint, really?
Individually, to me personally, I think I outrushed Noel Devine, the West Virginia game when they came here last. That's an individual moment. Team wise, I have to say that Little Caesars game, not because I won MVP, but because of the adversity that we went through. The season we had, and even though we lost some coaches, and Coach Mentor was being that interim coach during that week, it was a bond like no other from that team. It wasn't we going to this bowl just to say we went. Like, we locked in before they had the practice facility. We were out there in the snow.
That's right.
Getting ready, and we had guys locked in. We knew when we went up to Detroit what we were going to do and handle business. What they saw was really we were the underdogs and we were counted out. And it was a group of us saying, no, we're not. With the coach, without a coach, we're going to go handle business. We haven't been to a bowl game in a minute. And we win, championships here at Marshall. And that's what, as far as like team moment, that's the best moment I ever had, man. Those group of guys, having a Cody Slate, a Lee, a Vinnie Curry, Albert McCullen, man, looking at those leaders, watching them, and then being able to be a part of that, not just watching, man, that's my best moment right there.
Yeah, that's a great moment. And I'd like to take folks back to remember that Little Caesars Pizza Bowl was against Ohio University.
Yes.
So that's a historic rival. So you guys not only playing in a bowl game, you were playing a battle for the bell in a bowl game. And that's not one you want to lose, right? Because you don't want to give those dudes up in Athens any bragging rights over to Herd. Man, come on, right? Oh. So I imagine that's a peak moment for that time in that era, because it obviously you don't talk about a coaching change if there's not struggles leading up to that moment.
Oh yeah.
And it was underperformance from a program standpoint. I'm not going to blame a player. I'm not going to blame the team. I'm not going to blame a coach. Like, the program as a whole, no matter where the chips fell,
correct,
underperformed, right?
Correct.
And if that doesn't happen, then you don't have coaching changes. And we had one. So let's talk about that. Your playing career spans the final years of the Mark Snyder era. Then you have an interim coach for one game, Rick Mentor, and then begins the Doc Holliday era. And many of us watching that Little Caesars game on TV remember the booth interview with Doc. He was there,
right.
So talk about that. You're the only guy so far that I've spoken to that has spanned those two eras, which is a really interesting time in Herd football history, right? So let's talk about that. What do you remember most about that transition? That changing of eras. What was that like?
Well, oh gosh. For me, it was very uncertain. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen next. Transparency moment. We didn't know until after the game that they told us, which rightfully so, they didn't want us to worry about that. The next day we get there and I meet Doc, and he's bright-eyed, big energy. He lets you know, like, hey man, I want you here. Come back once, because we're breaking for the semester. And coming back, it was like a 180. You're used to one thing, and then you have this new coach. He's coming in, boom. This is what we're doing. This is who we are. He's introducing the coach. I want to say that's when I met Coach P, strength and conditioning coach. Man, big energy. It was like, hey, be on time. He said, be early. To be early is to be on time, and to be on time is late.
So he hit you with that Lombardi time. That's what that is.
Oh yeah, man. It was an interesting first meeting, man. If I should say, I don't want to give too much away, but bro, it was straight grind from the moment he got in there. A lot of people who felt like they didn't have the time that they deserved, they were fighting for it. I felt like, man, this is my time for to show and prove that I can be a running back one. I took advantage of it, bro. It was amazing, but yet it was a defining moment as far as, I guess, young men coming together and going through this together. Because like now, you just can't up and leave. You had to weather the storm. You had to hit the road, and hitting the road wasn't as easy. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you could hit the road, but you're going to have to sit,
Yeah,
you're going to have to lose a year or you're going to have to go down a level. And
correct.
I don't think once you get to the Division I FBS level that you're as willing to drop to the FCS ranks,
No,
like just to continue playing. So your choices at that point are bow out and lose a year, go down, or work and try to rise above. Right.
correct.
And I think as a Herd fan, I know I like hearing I was there to work.
Yes,
I was
sir.
there to rise above. I wasn't going to pack it in. I was there to be the number one guy. Interesting, because as much of the Mark Snyder era is marred by the wins and losses and the records and some all-time great players were recruited and played for the Herd during that era, and you cannot dispute that.
Correct.
You cannot dispute that. You ripped off a handful of them already just now.
Oh yeah.
So you got to give a certain amount of credit where credit is due. Obviously, championships kind of hit the brakes a little bit. And let's be real. The gas pedal's never been put back down on that, from the MAC era. The MAC era was lightning in a bottle. And as much as we would like to see that happen again, and we all believe that it can happen again, it's so difficult to do that in today's college football world. So let's touch on that a little bit.
Okay.
You've been out of the game as a player, but you're in the game in a different capacity, right?
Yes.
You're running backs coach in the high school ranks, local.
Yes,
and now you're dealing with the other side of the coin when coaches show up to recruit your kids to play and they start talking and about, recruiting pitches and this, that, and the other. And then words like NIL get pushed out there and words like transfer portal are just ever present, right?
Yes.
So you've got a good viewpoint because you were a player that didn't have access to that stuff.
Correct.
And now you're a coach who is trying to mentor young men to maybe not look at the flashy thing, but think a little more long-term. So what about this? What about the modern college game? What are your thoughts on the portal as it exists, as it's being utilized? Let's say that as it's being utilized. I
like that.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
To be honest, I have my thoughts. I will say this: I'm happy because they get to go and they get to create opportunity for themselves elsewhere if they feel as though they're being done wrong or this is just not a good fit for me. Being held, like you just said, going down a level or having to sit out a year, that's scary. It's too big of an uncertainty, and it's crazy because sitting out a year as a young man, I know personally I wasn't great for academics, but to tell me I have to do academics and not play this game, that is a long time, do I really want this? They not thinking about me. They're moving forward. So much on you, and so many people have just let it, die out as to now where, hey, you know what? This year wasn't great for me. I got some experience. I can move on. Boom. You can even go up a level or you can go over a level. I think that's the best thing to ever happen. Now, as far as like the money and everything else, I would love to have that. But as far as those kids, are they teaching them financial literacy? Are they really selling them down? How do you tell a kid now that where you was once an amateur and it was for the love of the game to not easily be, blindsided about this much money and to say, hey, how can I ask more of you when you're already getting more of what you already really want, and that is the money. So, I think personally, if they had some type of cap or they found a way to do it as a whole where no one's being left out, I think it'll bring the competitiveness back. I think it'll bring the tradition back. I think people will stay a little bit longer and have a better longevity of an outcome. So I just think the money, it's hard not to say that one school can pay you, you can go, then the other one can't, So
yeah. So let me qualify just some quick feelings I have on that. I have no problem with a guy transferring under certain circumstances, like you said. But if there's truly a family issue, you want to be closer to family, not a problem. If your coach gets fired and you feel like, hey man, I should be free because as much as we as fans want to think guys commit to a school,
Mhm.
they commit to a coach. I know
Correct.
that they commit to a coach. So your coach gets fired, I think you should be able to seek a new opportunity as well if you feel like it's great. Where I have a problem with is when you see guys that transfer 3, 4, 5 times even. I mean,
Yeah.
that should not be a thing that could happen, right? It just
Nah.
because it's bad for the game. It's just
Correct.
bad for the game. And as far as the NIL goes, I got no problem with that either. Because as we talked about before we started hitting record, I respect the hell out of the lifestyle that you guys have to lead. Getting
Correct.
up early, all the work, all the practice, treatments, study, test, and then straight to bed. So you really don't have time to go get a job, and you'd still like to go out and have a little fun from time to time. That costs money.
It does.
So I get that. I got no problem with that. My problem lies within those promises of, let's say, hey man, Martin Ward's tearing it up at Marshall. He's making a name for himself. He's putting yards up. Now XYZ school will give you a little bit of money, and you go over there. Now you ain't playing. You got buried on the depth chart, but you got a little bit of money. Great. Now you ain't playing. Now you ain't putting no more yards up. So that's what I mean. Like, that's a tough road to navigate for a kid potentially, because they're probably being pitched, man, you're going to come here and tear it up and you're going to make a little money along the way. And then now what? Now you're there and you're stuck and you're looking at transferring again when, you could have made maybe a little bit less money, a little less NIL staying with the herd, but you're going to play.
Correct.
And you got a long-term shot at the league or at the CFL or at the XFL or at whatever, so, but you ain't going to have a shot at nothing if you ain't playing. Right?
Nah.
Slippery slope. I know it's a slippery slope.
It is.
Slippery
it is a very slippery slope. But now you're going from high school to professional, just like that.
That's right.
Because you tell the high school kids, hey, this will be the last time you get to play with your friends for fun or, for the love of the game. And then you go off, you play for tradition, you build it, you leave your legacy. Now this is the last time you're playing with your friends and for the fun and for period. And then you're off to being a professional, because just like you have to eat, those coaches are eating.
Of course.
That's job security.
Of course.
So hey, how I got to tell you, hey, remember this play, remember your steps, the little things. You forget it on that level, hey buddy, I'm recruiting somebody else to replace you. What are you gonna do when you can't call mama, daddy can't help you?
Yeah.
So
that's right.
We really got to get these young men in a lot. Like, we have to get their minds right to say that, listen, you're somewhat becoming a professional, and you have to train like one. You have to be ready and prepared for what is to come until, I guess, they put a cap or whatever they do with NIL. But you got to realize time is short. Opportunities are even shorter. So when you come to the next level, be prepared, be ready, and stay hungry.
Yeah.
Because that is the game.
Yeah. I can dig that. I dig that. And I tell you what, I want to move off of this topic because we could talk about NIL and stuff forever. I could talk about it forever.
Yeah.
But also like the being prepared and being able to strike when the iron when the iron is hot, right? That's what you want to do. Yes. Strike when it's your moment. But also it's like, man, I hate to be the downer, but the grass is not always greener. You could strike and think you're doing what is seemingly the better decision. And then you get there and you're like, dang, It's like, dang. And so it's such a tough road to navigate. And I'm glad I'm not in that arena. I'm glad I'm in the arena that gets to sit behind a mic and talk about it from a fan perspective. Not having, in its essence, I have no problems with NIL. If it was utilized for what it was meant to be utilized for properly, then I got no problem with it. It's also like, not everybody's going to make $1 million. That ain't going to happen, dude. Not everybody is going to do that. So I got no problems with these guys transfer. I got no problems with them earning a little money. But like you said, man, you got to be smart about it. You got to be smart about it. So let's move back into your time with the herd.
Okay.
Tell me a story that when you reflect, or maybe you're around some dudes, and you guys are talking about playing and your time with the herd. You don't have to give me no deep, dark, dirty laundry, right? But what always gets that look, that smile, like, man, that was a good time. What is your go-to story when you think about your time with the herd?
Oh man, go-to time with the herd. Oh man, we had so many. We had times where we used to have football parties right after 2 days.
Okay.
And it was team bonding. But Huh. I don't know. We would talk about oh. We had a guy named Terrell Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Tiki, that's what we used to call him. And it was funny because most people don't know. Terrell, he was 6'2", about 210, chiseled. And we played Wisconsin. And coach would give him a hard time, you know. And I don't know if it's one of those, man, it was those good times, good, moments. But I will say this. We played Tulsa with the green helmets, right?
Okay.
Most people don't know previous he had like a thigh contusion. He really couldn't run. And Coach Smith was the running back coach at the time. And he puts him out there. And Terrell really couldn't run. He had like a gimp. And he goes out there and he busts off for like 110, like same toss play.
Yeah.
Extension, boom. And he's hobbling. Coach Smith is a funny guy. And he's standing there and I'm like, dog, I'm hyped for Terrell. And then coach is like, look at that. Most people wouldn't know that he's not running full speed. He's not running hard. He's just stiff arming the mess out of people. And the look on Coach Smith's face of just amusement because this guy is going off. And he's like at 60%.
Yeah.
Those are the stories that when I talk about, with my guys and stuff like that, it's just one of those you just don't know until you know moment. You feel me? So
yes.
Yeah, man, that's one. And I never let this one go. Bowling Green, redshirt freshman year, I get the ball and I don't know where this is at, and I hope it's burned. I break up the middle, and I think I'm going to score my first touchdown. There's a referee in the middle of the play. Well, they say if you don't move, hit him. Well, I take 2 steps. I see the ref. Well, I say, I'm not moving. You move. I take another step. Something looks different. It's dark. I take another step. I see lights. This referee has flipped me onto my back. I am literally parallel to the ground, running. Bam. Hit me like I hit the ground straight to my back, and I get up. All I hear is laughing because there's a play-by-play the next morning. Coach has it on the door, posted. He told me not to come to meetings. He said, don't worry about it. You don't have to show up. There is a clip, play-by-play of me running into a ref, getting flipped, and I am running mid-air, and I get tossed onto my back. The most embarrassing moment in my career. But that's what we talk about as well. So
it makes for a great story.
It does, man. It does. And I try not to talk about it too much, but it is one of the most embarrassing things. He helps me up. He said, I wasn't getting out your way. Look, clearly you need to be out there playing for them.
Man, look, that's the type of stuff that seems embarrassing. That is just one of them things that's like, I think Herd fans that will listen to this show will be like, that's the tidbit that I want. You know what I mean? Like, I know 29 as a player with a helmet on. You know what I mean? But I want to know that stuff. I want to know those little tidbits. And I tell you what, you alluded to this earlier, talking about your running back coach being a funny dude. And I mentioned that you're in the coaching ranks now. And I've asked everybody this question. I think this is really perfect for you. You had obviously some unique coaches. You spanned the gap between Mark Snyder and Doc Holliday and all of those assistants that went into those coaching trees. What's one of your favorite coach sayings that you keep hearing, and now you might even catch yourself saying to your guys during the heat of the moment in the throes of practice. You know what I mean? Like,
Gosh, yo, rest in peace, Coach Phil. Listen, today's the day. He would come out screaming it. And all you hear, today's the day. Today's the day. Got her, baby. Got her. Literally my favorite saying. Literally my favorite saying. I knew it as soon as you said it, because Coach Phil, he literally coached Lee Smith, Cody Slade. He was tight ends coach.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jamie Hatton. He actually had CJ Crawford, who was the offensive coordinator down in Huntington.
Mhm.
Man, he brought so much energy to the field. You know, it was just, you wanted to be in this group, but you saw the production that his group produced. It was amazing, man. So if I had to say, that was my favorite saying from Coach, and it was just the most beautiful thing. Coach Phil Ratliff is his name. For those who didn't know his last name, I call him Coach Phil.
Yeah. Legend.
Coach Phil Ratliff had the best energy, and it wasn't for show. It wasn't for everybody else. It was who he was,
Mhm.
and you loved it. You
Mhm.
loved it, because anytime that field come on and you out there, get him, baby, get after him. You gotta get after him. Today's the day. Today's the day. Oh gosh, man, that's my favorite saying.
So how many times do you catch yourself about to walk on the practice field and you hear that run through your head just as if like it was yesterday? You know
Oh
what I mean?
gosh, every time I step on the practice field, every
I
time.
love that. I love
Every
that.
time, and it may not be like the thought of the day, but I try to tell the kids, that's how you take the field. You
Yeah.
know, take ownership into your field.
Yeah.
And anytime I cross over the threshold from the end zone to that football field, that's what's running through my head. Whether I'm a coach, when I was a player,
I love it. I love that.
That's what it was, man.
I love that. And it's poignant that it's Coach Phil Ratliff, Herd all-timer player, great coach. Then went on to the University of Charlotte, was a very impactful coach at the University of Charlotte.
Yes, he was.
I mean, dang, dude. Dang. What a great line from a great guy. What a great line from a great guy.
Oh man.
So let's flash back a little bit. You got some wisdom in you now. You've been through the recruiting process as a player. You've been through a playing career. You're in a post-playing career as a coach now. You're helping to guide some young minds and navigate maybe their recruiting processes at times, and just the transition into adulthood and manhood. All this stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, what do you go back and tell 18, 17-year-old Martin Ward that you didn't know then? What do you tell that kid that you know now?
First, I'll give him a hug and say it's all right. If I can go back and tell him it's all right, man, I would tell him that first, it's all right. Secondly, just because it's God-given doesn't mean the hard work has to be pushed aside. Keep working harder. Take a little bit more time and trust the process. It's okay for new things to happen, because just because it's unfamiliar doesn't mean it's bad for you. 18-year-old, 17-year-old me I love familiarity, and I love what I like. I love my everyday, and I didn't really like to step outside of it, but I gave my all for my family and my friends. I put it all in there, but it was some things that I needed at that time that I really didn't have. I had a great village, and I say village because mom, dad, and then I had all types of father figures. And those were my coaches, to my counselor, from my counselor to my teachers, from my teachers to my friends' moms, their dads. Just wherever I went, I had a little village. I had somebody there to help guide or to put me there. But I just needed that one little thing to where it was I was sort of lost on making that decision of where I wanted to be and why I was doing it. Yes, I love the game, but did I truly love it enough to put certain things aside? And was I hungry enough to love it the right way? So that's what I would say.
Good advice. Really good advice. Speaking of having a village, anybody that's ever been a part of any team, not just a football team, but any team, you don't see success alone. It takes
Correct.
all of you to
Yes.
contribute. And on any team and every team, there are always going to be those guys that just do not get the recognition that they deserve. They show up every day, they bust ass, they do it the right way, but they will just never get the credit that they deserve. Who are some of those guys? Who are some of your teammates from the herd that will just never get the credit that they fully deserve, despite how they brought it every single day?
Man, there's so many.
Right.
So many,
But
man.
fans need to know that, right? Because the
Oh.
guys we hear about are the guys that are putting up the stats, that are making the headlines, but it's
That's
not
true.
necessarily the guys that are putting you in that position to make those headlines on Saturday. Who are those guys that just brought it every day, that made the herd better, that just will not get that notoriety? There's got to be a couple of guys that shoot to the front of your mind.
Front of my mind, there was a guy, Antoine Booker. He was number 27. He was a linebacker. He played tight end right before he left. Huge guy. He was a head buster on kickoff. When I tell you, I don't know why he didn't get the recognition or the playing time. He was one of them. Howard King, he was also a defensive player. He played special teams. He went out there. He did work. Zach Wellman, for those who know, I believe Isaiah Wellman, who played up at WVU, his brother. Me and him were Bash brothers at one point down there at football, man. And when I tell you that guy, face mask bent, wrecking shop. Sheesh. Who else? There were so many. I mean, I know people know Jordan Jeffries. He was a left tackle. He put in work. CJ Wood, he was a left tackle. Brandon Campbell, right tackle. Those guys, I know they probably got some playing time, but I don't know if they got the recognition that they really deserve. Shoot.
No, these guys don't have to be guys that didn't get some PT.
Oh yeah,
these are just guys that you respect the hell out of.
Oh,
that just aren't going to be.
Let's see
these notable players. That's all that is.
They say John Saunders, Delvin Johnson, Andre Booker, Troy Evans.
That guy was dynamic, man. That dude was dynamic.
Yes. Can you imagine him coming to practice 24/7? That's how he was.
Yeah,
he was that guy. I'm gonna tell you one. Tommy Schuler.
Oh, touchdown!
Even though he
Tommy
has the recognition,
come on.
You talk about listen. watching him practice, watching him play, it was something that I'll tell anybody. You put that boy in a phone booth, you couldn't stop him.
See, so that's telling to me, Martin, for 1 second. That's telling to me because Tommy has gotten so much recognition, and to still say he's not gotten enough, that's pretty telling, because you're talking about a herd Hall of Famer. You know what I mean?
Gosh, yes, man. And they'll sing his praises and keep on. The guy was there. Jamie Hatton was another quiet one that he did his work. Chris Jaspers was another old lineman.
Dude never missed a start, man. What are you talking about? Never missed a start. I don't know if he missed. Honestly, I don't think I'm pretty sure it was Chris that never missed a snap.
Chris Jaspers?
I think.
Wait.
I'm pretty sure.
Am I saying Chris Jaspers? Who am I saying? What? No. Yeah. Jaspers.
Center.
Bowers. I'm
okay.
sorry. Yes, Chris Bowers. You're right. Jaspers didn't miss a start, and Jaspers he came a long way. He's listen. Man, who else? I was talking. That's what I meant. Chris Bowers. He didn't get some recognition, man. He was one of those guys that where he had to start center, in that bowl game.
Okay.
His first start, nervous. He went out there, blew it out the water. You couldn't tell that he was nervous. You couldn't tell that, hey, listen, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. You know what I'm saying? He did his thing. Let's see. Daniel Drake was a guy who played for us who later left and went on to ECU and became one of their all-time leading tacklers. He was another one that didn't get recognition like he should have, but he went on to do great things.
Wow.
Shoot, Antavius Wilson.
That guy is definitely underappreciated.
Oh yeah,
definitely. When you talk about wide receivers in Herd history, Antavius Wilson is a guy that deserves far more respect than he gets.
Oh yeah,
far more.
Oh yeah. I didn't get a chance to play with him, but Corey Tindall. Corey Tindall he came in, he got some good time, and as I was leaving out, and he was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Dude set a precedent to where he will work out twice a day, get on the field, come hang out before he could just officially be there. And when he was there, that switch was amazing. He don't know that, but that's just me just watching him, man. It was these Marshall guys, man, this brotherhood, especially this 2014 team. Oh, Cortez. Let me keep going. Big Red, Corey Tindall. No, I said Corey Tindall. What is Big Red's name? I just said his name the other day. Cortez.
Carter?
Yes. Yeah. That guy. Man. Him. Derek Mitchell.
Okay.
Derek Mitchell.
Okay.
That's a guy.
All hustle. Right?
That's a guy.
All hustle.
Oh yeah.
Play like hair's on fire. I know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I could just get into naming guys because everybody else became just big time names, man.
Right.
And it's not that I don't want to not name them, but I mean they'll be recognized this weekend.
That's right.
So I mean, no diss to them. It's some other guys that, like you said, that recognition, man. And you go back to it and you realize and you're like, hey. Yeah,
there are guys that prepared you week in and week out, and they just did the dirty work. They showed up. They just did it all every day. Showed up every day, knowing that notoriety probably isn't going to follow, and it didn't hinder what they were doing.
No.
So for a lot of it, it's A, for the love of the game, B, for the love of the herd, C, they're just wired that way. They don't have a go half speed gear. It's all or nothing, right?
Oh yeah.
And those are the guys that, man, I don't know. I'd take 100 of those dudes.
Yeah.
You can build a team with guys like that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need the biggest, fastest, strongest. I'll take them. But if I don't have them, give me a dude with a motor that don't quit and heart that don't stop beating. And you know this as a coach. You know this as a coach. You see it.
Oh, for sure.
You have those kids on your team, on your roster. That you know what that looks like, man. And I love bringing those names to Herd fans because that gives them a greater appreciation of those era of teams. Because it's just like when you listen to the radio and you've got a favorite artist, their songs that you love all get whittled down to one or two hits that they play on the radio.
For sure.
This is the same thing. I want our fans to know the deep cuts of those rosters when you were playing. The guys that they might have forgotten about. Oh, God, yeah, that guy was awesome. I forgot about him. And you brought that guy right back to the forefront of their memory. That's what this is all about. That's what that's all about.
Oh, definitely.
So give me a little bit more about what makes Martin Ward tick as far as Marshall goes. Who had the biggest impact on you from Marshall?
Coach-wise or player-wise?
Whoever. Whoever ranks number one for you, whoever was the most impactful for you on your life.
My life? God,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a few people out there.
Sure.
And I'm gonna tell you who I start with. And he was a teammate of mine. His name is Kiwi Gilkerson. He was a Spring Valley native. We're still good friends. And Chris Bowers. I'm gonna put them in the same. Chris Bowers, first day. Nope. I'm gonna put 3 in the first. Darius Passmore. And that's the name, right? First time I get to campus, TJ Drakeford, Nate Robertson, they helped my mom get my stuff up to Towers, get her in and stuff like that. The next day we're out for team run. Now you would think coming up here to play football, you're gonna have your football stuff, right? No, I came over with just clothes. I'm just getting dropped off. I'm getting dropped off. It wasn't until the first day they was like, all right, man, we got 20 whatever's, come on. I'm like, bro, I ain't got no cleats. Sidebar, I wore the Michael Vick cleats when they first came out in high school. Those were my cleats. And inside it was inscripted, it was expect the unexpected. That's what I was like, oh, snap, expect the unexpected. That's how it was. Shake the world up, I go to run. I'm like, bro, I ain't got no cleats. I ain't got this and that. I ain't even go to the equipment guy. Darius Passmore reaches in his little drawer. He said, hey, man, I got you. Here you go. Boom. I said, man, I appreciate it. And I looked down as the Michael Vick cleats. So I'm thinking like, hey, divine intervention. This is where I need to be. This is what's up. I go out there. I strap it up. But because I didn't have to ask, of him, to this day, that means a lot to me. Because, like, it's what you do for people in a moment that makes the impact, right? Chris Bowers, his mom and dad, it was like, hey, man, we're going to get around. We're going to get bikes. That's how we got around. We couldn't have cars. Chris Bowers drops me off a bike the first week. He said, I got an extra one. Here you go. Boom. That's my guy. He is up blocking for me or whatever. First Thanksgiving, I'm here. Kiwi Gilkerson. Bro, don't worry about it. You're going to come eat with me and my family. I ate with him and his family every Thanksgiving from the time that I was a freshman time till I was done and I moved back here. And I only stopped because, time grows apart and we get family. But it's still there. We still talk. Those guys have made an impact in my life that I'll never forget. And I hold them dear. When I pass them by, if I don't talk to them, those are some guys. Some teachers. Oh, man. Dr. Keelan Hinton. He is a professor here. Some other ones, and I'm getting a little sidetracked for names. But Dr. Keelan, he opened my mind as far as thought process, how I view the world. A lot of people don't know that my hair, I had hair for 25 years. I had it since I was 5 years old till I was 25. And then I cut it right before I moved back. And me having hair was my protection because I was shy. That helmet was my protection because I didn't know how to express myself. I expressed it through football. I expressed it through working out, and everything else was a given, Having his classes in psychology helped me shape my mindset. It helped me move things forward, with my life, period. I will say my running backs coach. I had two. One is Jawan Sider, who is currently at Penn State doing his thing. The other one is Jared Smith, my first one. They both taught me perspectives on life. One was more so Jared Smith, as far as getting to class on time, sitting in the front, shaping your week, and watch how things fall in line. That was him, man. He sort of got me into how I wake up to how I go to sleep affects a Monday to Sunday type of deal. Coach Jawan Sider, man, he taught me how to work through adversity. Not everything is going to be perfect all the time. not one player is going to be the same, and your roles change. You got to learn how to work through it and to still be productive at it. So those two guys were they made a mark in my life that I'll never forget. So I can go on and I can keep naming some more, because like I said, I cherish those things, whether people know about it or not. Even some fans, man, like, and I don't even want to say fans because they're friends as well, because I personally know them. And that's the thing about Marshall. It's small, but it's personal. You know, you get here, and even though I was from out of state, and I still love my state of Georgia, when you get here and you realize what this state has to offer, how it is, you cherish it just a little bit more. You don't necessarily have the big cities right here in the city, but you can go 2 hours away, come back to some peace. You know, Marshall fans travel wherever. They're always going to make sure you okay. And the thing about it is, they may know who you are. They may not get up in your face about it, but as soon as you, hey, how are you, this and that, they'll let you know. We see you. You're never too far. If you need a meal, you need a hug, they got you.
Yeah.
And it's the coolest thing alive, man. It is. It definitely is.
You actually just answered one of the final questions I usually ask people, which is why is Marshall really still special to you?
Oh, you know? Gosh, yes.
No, why is it? And that's why you just answered that. It's because of by and large, it's what I get. It's the people.
It is.
I like the fact that you say West Virginia and Huntington. It essentially, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but it doesn't have to just be a pit stop in the next chapter. It's a place you can build a life if you choose to.
Oh,
you know, there are opportunities there. Of course, there are more opportunities in other places. We all know that.
Correct.
But you're doing what you love.
Correct.
And you're doing it 25 minutes away from where you played college football.
Correct.
You know, and Marshall's still getting guys from that school.
They are
guys we're excited about, guys, future players that we are really excited about. You know,
definitely, I'm excited.
I must say, without naming names, obviously.
No. Listen, man, I love seeing these guys come in, man, and I sit down at practice because Coach Dobson's down there. You know, love seeing him getting those receivers together. I love Coach Lockett, man, those backs. Just him being here, dog, he's a guru. I'm trying to soak up anything and everything. You know, I've been to his office plenty of times, so it is a time to be had, and these players are showing up and showing out. You know, I just not trying to spin back to NIL. The time frame in which they have to get ready in is so short now, and you want them to be here and to build and mold, and hopefully they do. The tradition is still here. You know, they come in and hopefully they don't see it as they're doing Marshall a favor, but see themselves as a favor of putting things back on the map and putting championships back where Marshall should be. You know, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful school. The talent is amazing. I
would think that being a former Herd running back, you've paid pretty close attention to the lineage of running backs since you played. Right?
I do.
And I just talked about this the other day, and I used a decade. You know, this was not meant to be a slight to your era, but 10 years is just not a nice round number, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about the decade of dominant running backs that had come through. And we're not talking about just guys that did a little work. We're talking about dominating running backs. And I mean, think about 10 years ago, God rest his soul. We're seeing Devin Rockhead Johnson do things that we have not seen a Herd running back do before. We have not seen. You know, you're talking about a near 1,800 yard season, running over, through, and going around people, right?
Linebackers.
I mean, you're talking about runs that go straight up, not even having to make a cut.
Who wouldn't want to hit him?
You got it. But I mean, like, the line would open a hole big enough literally to drive a truck through, and he didn't even have to make a cut. Right.
No.
And then you talk about guys after that, you're talking about Brendan Knox. You're talking about Rasheen Ali. You're talking about the great dude, by the way. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to talk to him. He was here for a year. Kalen Laburn, great guy. If you ever get a chance to see Kalen, talk to Kalen, great guy. 1 year with the Herd, boy, did he make the most of it, right?
Listen, it's funny you say that. I'm a fan of being a running back. That's my favorite position. I'm glad I was blessed enough to play it. I'm glad to be here, even though they say other places are running back. You look at the line of running backs, even before me and after me, why wouldn't you want to come to Marshall?
Yeah.
The door is open.
Yeah, you can make a name for yourself playing running back for the Marshall Thundering Herd. You've got some stiff competition to measure up to if you're into that sort of thing. If you're like, all right, let me look at this record book, and then you're like, Chris Parker, holy crap, am I ever going to get 6,000 yards? Chapman. I don't know. Doug Chapman, am I going? Ahmad Bradshaw,
Darius Marshall was
right, and a guy that's well overdue for the Hall of Fame. Glenn Pedro, overdue for the Hall.
Yes,
great dude. I mean, these are guys. These are all-time great college football players, right? And a lot of these guys, if they strapped up with a different logo on the side of their helmet, they'd be household names. That's what's unfair about the haves and have-nots in college football.
Correct.
Right? Because these are great guys. They're campus legends that'll never die in Huntington, West Virginia, and Marshall University. They'll live forever. And we'll watch the highlights forever. And we'll talk about them forever.
It's definitely got to add Talaferro and
that's right, Talaferro. Absolutely.
Yes.
And you mentioned Terrell earlier. Terrell Edwards.
Terrell Edwards.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember that dude being looking like he was chiseled out of granite. That's what I remember.
He'll do.
And I was thinking, I remember thinking, dude, I wouldn't want to get in front of that guy.
No.
Like with a full head of steam. You know what I mean? So there's just been so many great running backs, yourself included in that, man. We're not going to be humble here, okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna be humble.
You can be humble, but I'm not going to be humble as we talk about running backs. And I'm talking to one, for crying out loud. So look, this is what I normally do to close the show is I give you an opportunity to have just like an open forum, because everybody's got something they want to say. So please take this time for as long as you'd like to say whatever you'd like, and get your message out there, and then we'll wrap this bad boy up.
I don't know. Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. To the Herd fans, thanks for the years. I appreciate it. Thanks for showing me the hospitality and the love that you guys showed. Truly a fan, and I feel as though family through and through. I'm still here. I'm still around. To my Herd bros, I can't wait to see you into the future teams. Hey, put on, show out, and much love. So thanks. I appreciate it.
What can I say after that, right? So I can't top that. I can't even hope to top that. So look, that is Martin Ward. I am KD Hudnall, and this is Inside the Thunder.